Hello, doctors and innovators. Welcome to the Simplified Integration Podcast. This is episode number 25, the top 4 ways to know if you are ready to integrate.
Leonardo da Vinci once said that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and I agree. You see, the problem with the way that most consulting groups approach medical integration is anything but simple. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's expensive, it's complicated, and quite frankly, it's exhausting. Enough is enough. There are far too many amazing integrated clinics that are struggling. Well, I'm on a mission to change that. What I've come to find from over 5 years working with integrated practices is that simplicity really is the secret. The old saying of less is more is true. Through a streamlined approach, I was able to create multiple successful 7-figure integrated clinics, and now I'm going to show you how you can do the same. Join me as I share with you the secrets to successful medical integration and practice growth. Join me on a journey to greater sophistication through innovation. I'm Dr. Andrew Wells, and welcome to the Simplified Integration Podcast.
Hey, Doc, welcome. It's so nice to have you back. So today I'm going to address this. This episode is addressed to doctors who are considering integrating and they're not quite sure if they're ready to do it or if they're the right person to do it. And if you have that question, first of all, my hat is off to you because you're thinking the right way. Integration is not for everybody. And one of the things that really irritates me about the consulting and practice management industry is that so often groups will present integration as a turnkey solution. So integration is not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So if anyone is saying, oh, we have a turnkey solution for you to integrate, like run in the other direction because it's not true. The fact of the matter is integration can be complex. It's hard. It's not easy. You have to learn how to do new things. And so there's no easy way to integrate. And you might say, well, hey, the name of your podcast and the name of your company, Dr. Wells, is Simplified Integration. And yes, I have simplified the process and made it easier for doctors to do, but I don't want to give anyone the false impression that integration is easy. So you heard it from the horse's mouth. There is no such thing as turnkey integration. It is a lot of work. You have to roll up your sleeves. There's a lot of new processes and procedures to learn before you can become a successful integrated office. My job is just to help fast forward that process and help you from making common mistakes. So how do you know if you're ready to integrate? Now, when I was a little kid, my dad was really big into horse racing. He loved racehorses. He used to own a few racehorses, and we grew up not too far away from a racetrack in Chicago, where I'm from. And so on the weekends, as a little guy, I used to spend time with my dad at the racetrack, and we'd hang out in the stables. So in the stables, they had racehorses and jockeys and trainers, and it's just a cool place to hang out if you're a little kid. Well, I always wanted to ride on the racehorses, and my dad would never let me get on the horses. And there was one horse in the stable that I always got to ride. His name was Apache, and Apache was like 100 years old. He was like the most lame, tame horse you've ever seen. And that's the horse that I got to ride, which was still cool, but still a bummer because as a little kid, like I wanted to ride the fastest horse possible. And what I didn't understand as a kid was my dad wouldn't let me on there because he knew that I would get bucked off and would get killed or maimed or paralyzed or whatever. And I never thought that was fair because looking at it from a child's perspective, the guys riding the horses, the jockeys, were like my size, right? They were short. I'm like, well, if they could do it, I could do it. But I didn't understand like how strong jockeys were and how athletic they were. So I didn't see it as a fair thing. I never understood it when I was a kid, but I knew, later on in life that like racehorses are incredibly strong, powerful animals. And thank God my dad never let me get on them because I probably wouldn't be here today. And the same thing is true with integration. As doctors look at integration as this like sexy way to grow your practice and make more money and bill insurance. And one of the worst things you can do is integrate because of those things when you're not ready, because it's also, just as it is good, the other aspect of it is that it can kill your practice and ruin you financially faster than anything else in chiropractic. There are some huge risks. And so I wanted to talk about this because there is a time and a place for integration. And I get calls every week, lots of calls from doctors who are considering integration. And one of my first jobs as a consultant is to figure out if you're even right for integration. So there's a series of questions I go through with doctors, and there are really 4 things that I look for. And sometimes doctors get irritated with me because I'm like, I say, he's telling me now is not the right time to integrate. And I do that not because I don't want to work with you, is just because you're not ready. And sometimes I'll have you focus on your chiropractic business or something else before you're ready to move into integration. So here are the 4 things that I look for, and 4 things to know if you're ready to integrate. Number 1 is, have you had a fair amount of success already? Now, success can mean different things. For success, for some doctors, that means running a 1,000-a-week chiropractic business. For some doctors, that means having a stable practice of 100 visits per week. Maybe it's a dollar amount that is your definition of success. But you should have some really key, like your business should be stable. You should be making money consistently month after month. You shouldn't have a new patient issue. Like, those are all signs of a healthy practice. So if you're not there yet, integration will not fix that problem. So I get doctors who are like, hey, listen, I'm struggling with chiropractic. I'm not making any money. I'm losing money. I want to integrate because I think this will be like a good solution for me. So please hear this. Integration is not a life raft. Like, if you're struggling in chiropractic, it will not fix your chiropractic business. If that's you, don't integrate. Just double down your efforts on learning how to run an effective chiropractic business. So that's number 1. Number 2, are you a good leader? Now, this is a tricky question to ask yourself, because unless you're like, some doctors I know like aren't very self-aware, and I know a lot of doctors who have massive egos and they're complete douchebags. And if you ask them, hey, are you a good leader? They're the first ones to say, yeah, I'm an awesome leader. Like, I have a great team. Like, those are the people. Some of them are good, run good integrated offices. Some are complete miserable failures. And so a couple things to look for. Like, so how do you know if you're a good leader or not? There are 7 things you can look at. And in general, leaders have followers. So that could be patients, like patients who have followed you. Maybe they've been with your practice for 5, 10 years. They come in for wellness adjustments, or their whole family comes in to see you. Like, that's a good sign of a leader. Also, has your team been with you for a while, or do you cycle through staff every 6 months? So if you're like burning through staff and your patients never want to see you again, chances are you're not a very good leader. But here are 7 attributes, what I think are good attributes, and I pulled all these off of the web. So number 1, do you have a positive attitude? And having a good attitude is so critical, because you're going to have highs and lows in your business, and your attitude trickles down to your patients, it trickles down to your team, it trickles down to everything in your practice. And so if you don't have a positive attitude, it's really tough to run a successful integrated practice. You also have to have confidence. So as an example, a leader with confidence would be someone like Elon Musk. So Elon Musk has an incredible amount of confidence, and some people think he has way too much confidence. So look, the guy started a car company, which is, starting a new car company is one of the riskiest things you can do in business. It's incredibly difficult. He's starting a space exploration business and a rocket business and a tunnel boring company. Like, all those things are incredibly difficult things to do, but he also executes on those things. So he's not just like, aren't just pipe dreams for him. He's actually doing these things, but has a really high level of confidence, even though he has a lot of people who hate him and don't believe in what he's doing. So positive attitude, confidence. The next thing is a sense of humor. Now, whether or not you like this guy politically or not, it's totally up to you, but Barack Obama as a president, I would say, had a really good sense of humor. So he always laced in sense of humor. He was like known for dad jokes. And again, whether you liked him as a president or not, he had a huge following because people really appreciated the way he communicated and his use of sense of humor. I think he did a great job of that as president, and it's why a lot of people liked him. Even like Bill Clinton was really good. He had a good like self-deprecating humor, and he used that to connect with people. So do you have a sense of humor? Number 4, do you have the ability to embrace failure? When you're running any business, you're going to fail. Things aren't going to go the right way, but do you have the ability to learn from your failures, number 1, and then to be able to adapt your procedures and your behavior and the ways of doing business so that you can overcome those failures in the future? Are you a good listener? So are you good with listening and feedback? Someone who's great at this is the Dalai Lama, one of the most influential spiritual leaders in the world. And if you ever follow him or like look at or watch his interviews, he doesn't talk a whole lot. He listens a whole lot. And he's been very vocal about this. He listens because he wants to understand what people are saying and understand situations so he can react accordingly. Number 6 is knowing how and when to delegate. when you're integrating, you're going to have more things going on in your office. And there's a time to do those things, like roll up your sleeve and do the work. And there's also a time to delegate those tasks. And this is really a cliche, but Steve Jobs is used a lot in this example as a good leader on knowing when to delegate and when not to. So he was known for obsessing over the smallest details and having his hands in some of the smallest, most minute details of Apple. But he was also a good delegator. I mean, the guy managed thousands and thousands of very high achieving people, all working to produce the same goal. And then number 7, do you have a growth mindset? And by growth mindset, I don't mean that you want to earn another $1 million a year or grow by 300 patient visits. What I mean is that are you committed to the learning process, to growing your mind, to expanding your skill set, to learning new things? If you're if you're kind of these guys like I'm kind of stuck in my ways and I don't see myself changing that much over the future, chances are you're not going to do really well with integration because it requires a good deal of growth and expansion mentally and in your skill sets. So those are the 7 attributes of being a good leader. So far we've covered, have you had success already in practice? Are you a good leader? Number 3 is, are you ready for a challenge? And this goes back to that turnkey myth. Like there's no like easy plug and play solution with integration. You are going to have to learn new skills. Especially like for the first 3 to 6 months, you're going to be spending a lot of time focusing on your practice and making sure it's going right, training your team to be able to delegate, and just have a really good handle over all the processes in your office. And all of that is challenging. I like working with doctors who put themselves in challenges. So if you have a history of competitive sports, that can be a really good indicator of success. Are you competitive? Are you ready to take on new things? Like all those are things that I look for when bringing on clients and helping people with the integration process. Then number 4, do you have money? So if your bank account is, you're down to your last $500 in your bank account, don't integrate. Like save up some money. Integration costs money. I'm a big fan of starting businesses without having to use debt or without having to go to a bank. And those aren't bad things, but if you don't have the ability to invest in your business and invest in equipment and marketing and consulting advice and attorney advice, then it's just not the right time to integrate. And my advice to you is, if you want to integrate and you have all these skills, but you're just short on money, that's not a problem. Just grow your chiropractic business, see more new patients, get good at chiropractic, save up your money until you have a comfortable financial cushion to be able to integrate. So, in wrapping up this concept, just know that integration is it's a stressor. It's a stressor on your business, and that putting stress on your business will do one of 2 things. Either when you put this pressure on your system, the system grows stronger to be able to adapt to the new pressure, or your office and your staff will crumble under the pressure. One of 2 things will happen. And so my job as a consultant is to make sure that you're successful and you have the ability to grow and adapt to that stress of integration and not let it kill you. So again, Doc, I just want you to, if you're listening to this and you're wondering whether or not integration is right for you, my whole purpose in doing this podcast, this episode of the podcast, is just to give you a realistic expectation of what integration looks like. One of the scary things about my job is, I talk to lots of chiropractors on a weekly basis, is a lot of the people that contact me are contacting me because they need help with their integrated office. And they're 6 months into integration, a year or 2 years in, and they're struggling. And they're like, it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. It's more expensive than I thought it was going to be. It's not as profitable as I thought it was going to be. And oftentimes it's because we're sold the dream, but we're not actually given the realistic expectation of what it looks like to achieve that dream. So integration can be the best thing for your office. It can be the worst thing for your office. But number 1, it should be something that you should be able to understand what it looks like, and if you're able to implement and install the integration programs to get you to where you want to go with your personal and your practice goals. So Doc, I hope you found this helpful. It's great to have you on here. I really appreciate you following my podcast. If you have any questions or want to reach out, you can always reach me at info@integrationsecrets.com. So email me at info@integrationsecrets.com, and I'd love to help you in any way possible. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey, innovators, thanks for listening to the Simplified Integration Podcast. The fact that you're listening tells me that you're like me, someone who loves simplicity. And the truth is, those who embrace simplicity are some of the greatest innovators. So I hope you got a ton of value from what we covered on today's episode. Be sure to subscribe and share with other docs that you feel could benefit from greater sophistication through simplification and innovation. If you've got specific questions that you'd like answered on this podcast, or you've got specific topics that you'd like me to discuss, just shoot me an email at info@integrationsecrets.com. That's info@integrationsecrets.com.